Let's take a look at how we can use an adjustment layer to lighten this picture up and then use a mask to protect the areas that don't need lightening up. If you take a look here when I create an adjustment layer using levels, if I go ahead and lighten up my image at this point to where everything looks mostly okay, notice what happens to the sky and the buildings. They tend to get blown out by that adjustment, and so we don't want that. So let's prevent that from happening. I'm going to go ahead and throw away this adjustment layer and we'll start over. Let's start out this time by selecting the sky. So I'm going to use the quick selection tool, and I'm just going to do a quick drag around the sky, and that pretty much gets it selected. I have a little bit more than what I want here. Let's take a quick look at pressing Q on the keyboard to give us our quick mask tool, and I can get a paintbrush. I just press B on the keyboard to get a paintbrush, and I can control the size with the left and right bracket keys, and the left bracket key I'm making it smaller. And if you take a look up here, it's got a soft edge, and if I actually hold down the shift key and click on the right bracket key, I'll get a hard edge. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on the area that I didn't that I got added to the selection that I did not want to add. I'm going to click here. Let's turn the opacity and the flow all the way up. I had them down for another reason, and we'll actually go back to that in a little bit. But I'm going to click here. I'm going to hold down the shift key, and I'm going to click up here, and that makes a straight line in between those 2 points, and then I can zoom in and get this other area here by making a smaller brush by clicking on the left bracket key. I'm going to click here, and I'm going to hold down the shift key, and I'm going to click back down here, and notice that copies it in a straight line between those 2 points. And so that's a really nice and quick way to take care of that. Let me get out of that a second. I just didn't mean to do that. If I accidentally hit the wrong key, if you want to get out of something like that, Command period is a good way to do that. I actually accidentally hit my crop tool there, so I need to get back on my brush here. I'm going to click here, hold down the shift, and come up here and click, and that straightens that out. Command 0 zooms me back out. Press Q again, and you see I have the sky selected now. I have a pretty good selection of the sky, and I've added the building back into the selection there. And now I'm going to go ahead and click on the adjustment layer right here to put my levels back on there. Now I can see that in my mask, if I hold down the Option key and click on it, everything is protected except the sky, and that's the opposite of what I want. And so I'm going to go back up here to my masks panel, and if you don't see it, go to Window Masks. It's right down here. Make sure that that's showing. And with the mask selected, click Invert. It's right here, so I'm just going to click Invert. And now you can see it is showing my sky is now. I'm going to Option click on that. That's Alt click on a PC, and you can see the sky's protected now, and everything else can be affected. I'm going to click back on that adjustment layer, and now when I lighten things up, notice the sky is protected. Now something else did happen here though, and you can see that my buildings have lightened up quite a bit. I actually need the buildings to be a little bit darker too to make this a good image, and I can go ahead and finish adjusting for the rest of my image and get that looking about like I want. And now to take care of the buildings, I'm going to go ahead and Command click. That'd be Control click on a PC, Command click on this layer where my mask is, and now that's made everything an active selection except for the sky. Now I'm going to get a brush, so I'm going to press B on the keyboard to get a brush and make sure I have the mask selected. You'll see a frame around it when it's selected. And I'm going to get a pretty good sized brush. I'm going to tap the right bracket keys until I get a pretty good sized brush here. And I also want the edge to be soft, so I'm going to hold down the Shift key and tap on the left bracket key to soften that up a bit. And I would like also to adjust the opacity and flow. And what this does, the opacity is going to keep it from being able to paint fully black. So I'm going to turn this down to, oh, say around 30%. Let's drag that on down. You can just click and drag until I get around 30%, and I'm going to turn the flow down halfway to 50%, which means that when I hold the mouse down, it's not going to make the effect happen all at once. I'll have to hold the mouse down longer for it to have full effect. And you could actually do this nicely with a pressure sensitive tablet, but since I don't have one here, I'm just using the laptop with the trackpad. I'm going to go ahead and I'll make the brush a little bit smaller. I'm going to type Command H to hide my selection because that's going to distract what I'm seeing. Now everything's still selected, and that comes from View Extras. So Extras will actually toggle your view of your selection on and off. I'm going to go ahead and paint with the brush now, and you can see as I paint, the buildings are getting a little bit darker there. And up here where I've washed them out, I'm going to go ahead and paint with the brush, and the more I paint over them and the longer I hold the mouse down, you can see the more that they also will fill in and not be so washed out as they were. And so I'm using a mask to protect the sky from the initial adjustment, and now I'm using the mask to continue to protect the sky as I make some painting adjustments on the rest of my image here, and there's my end result. I'm going to turn off my adjustment layer now, and you can see that's the before and that is the after. So that's a good way to use masks to protect areas that you need to keep the same and to allow others to be adjusted.